Powered by Riverside
Side
FM.
Powered by Riverside.
Welcome to the UP, a beautiful Monday morning, Memorial Day. Absolutely a fantastic day to get up and do something. This is Unconventional Playbook with your host, Lionel Jones, coming back at you with another UP pod episode. As always, hit that like and subscribe button. You guys know what to do. You've been doing it. Over 3,100 subscribers in less than a month. We're growing this thing, and I'm super duper excited. Minnesota Timberwolves lose last night, game 3, disappointing loss, 116-107, and I really don't even know what to say about the game. I think it's a situation where the Minnesota Timberwolves have just given all that they have to give, and we can chalk this season up as a great season into the Western Conference Finals. As I said before, I don't think anybody expected us to get to the Western Conference Finals. I know that wasn't even on my radar, but we did it. And we as Minnesota Timberwolves fans should be extremely happy with that. But it also puts a magnifying glass on in what we have to do to get better. And the offseason is going to be important. And because they had a great season, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't critique and that we shouldn't put a magnifying glass on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think their coaching staff needs to do that. I think their ownership needs to do that. I think they're going to have to make some tough decisions to get better. You know, the one thing that I've learned about basketball, though, is that when you start moving pieces around, there's no guarantee that those pieces are going to work or that you're ever going to get back here. That's the issue with the NBA. And so right now you've got really, really good chemistry on this team, but this chemistry on this team is just not good enough to beat teams that have guys that can go. And that is obvious. You know, Karl Anthony Towns, good player. Rudy Gobert, good player. McDaniels, good player. Obviously, Anthony Edwards, good player. Mike Conley, good player. But as you can see, you know, this roster, Nas Reed, very, very good player. But as you can see, this roster is not good enough to win it all. It's not good enough to win. So you're at a fork in the road. Like, how do you get over the hump? You just can't make any move just to make a move because you started to, you know, really destroy that chemistry. You could take a couple steps back and not even know it. I mean, there have been franchises that have done that and never gotten back. I mean, look at the Toronto Raptors. You know, they lose Kawhi, and then they've never been back since they won the title. I mean, they haven't even sniffed it. You know, you start making moves and jumbling rosters. It can be tough because you have to identify the right person. And it is obvious right now that Anthony Edwards is someone that can lead this franchise. I mean, he's only 22 years old. I know he's taking a lot of heat, you know, but, you know, when you put yourself out there like that, being, you know, pretty arrogant and cocky, talking stuff. And again, I have no problem with that. It's kind of the culture of basketball. You have to be confident and then not be able to back it up. That's an issue. I mean, a couple of months ago, well, not even a couple of months ago, but a couple of weeks ago, people were comparing him, I always say, to Jordan and Kobe. And that has completely gone away. Those narratives have really dried up. So what you have is a really good Anthony Edwards, who's 22 years old, great young player, who should be the staple of your franchise. You got to find somebody to go with him. Like, you got to find somebody that can score the basketball, somebody with a little bit of dog in him. I don't know who that person is. Maybe we'll do a pod on that. Who would you like to see added to this team, that would be a great pod for the future. What would you like to see with Anthony Edwards? Because the Anthony Edwards big cat thing's not working. And I think Rudy Gobert is going to be here for a long time. No one's going to take on that contract for Rudy Gobert. So Big Cat has shown that he's not super reliable in the playoffs, and he's been getting that heat for years. So I think, when you put a magnifying glass on this team, that is going to be the change. Like, I can't say that Big Cat won't be on this team next year because they have to have a trade partner, somebody that wants Big Cat. But what's a good trade for Big Cat? What's out there, man? I don't know. But they have to do something. Like, they can't stay pat with this team. Because this team, obviously, they have some flaws when it comes to scoring. They have some flaws when it comes to scoring. They're a good defensive team. I don't think they're as good of a defensive team as everybody makes them out to be, but they're pretty good. Because if you were that team defensively, man, you show up. You find a way to guard Kyrie and Luka, and they're just running amok. They're just running astray on the Minnesota Timberwolves defense. I mean, they can't stop them. How many times are you watching a game where they just get multiple scores, one score after another score after another score after another score? Minnesota Timberwolves can't stop. Number one defensive team in the league. So I think some changes are going to have to be made on the Minnesota Timberwolves roster, obviously. And they'll look at that once the offseason hits. But it can't stay the same. And I think Big Cat's going to be the odd man out. One of the comments, though, who would you like to see added to this team? Identify the free agents out there, maybe some trade partners out there. Who would you like to see realistically on this basketball team to make us better? And again, my fear is no matter who you bring on, the chemistry may be a little off, but that's what you do when you trade. You may take a step forward, you may take a step back. It's kind of the way it is on the trade market. So I just hate when you miss these windows of opportunity because they don't come back very often in pro sports. So moves that you make during the offseason are exciting. I mean, it's like fantasy basketball. People that are in the fantasy, they get excited because you get to swing deals and make trades with your friends. So any sort of trade or addition is really exciting. But for the most part, when you start changing the dynamics of your team, what you currently are goes away in some form or fashion. Because it's not only the new guy that you're bringing on, but there are multiple depth changes every year to the team. So the camaraderie and the chemistry just may not be the same. And so you have a whole new team. That's why these opportunities are so precious when you get them. Because there's no guarantee that you're ever going to get back. Timberwolves game 4, right now they're down 3-0. And I think for the team, that may be the best thing for the team in terms of their performance. Because now the pressure is off. You're down 3-0. I know the mentality of teams that are down 3-0, usually the pressure's off. They're on the brink of getting swept. There would be more pressure if they would have won that game last night. Because now they have to come back and try to tie the game. That's a lot of pressure for young players. So now they can play loosey-goosey. They're down 3-0, and I wouldn't be surprised how this is going to go. I believe the Minnesota Timberwolves may win tomorrow night and make the series 3-1. And then come back home and lose for the gentleman's sweep. I think that very well can happen. This is the way the playoffs have been going. And I think the Timberwolves perform well when there's, really non-pressure situations or situations that they deem as non-pressure. Getting down to the Denver Nuggets. And you can say Game 7 was a pressure situation. They came through in Game 7 in a big time pressure situation But again, it just shows you this team. You just never know what you're going to get. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if they played pretty well tomorrow night, won that game, and then came back home in front of a ruckus crowd and lose that game. I mean, that's just kind of where the Timberwolves are. So unfortunately, Timberwolves lose game 3. They're down 3-0 to the Dallas Mavericks. Oh, Luka and Kyrie are just killing it. You guys, I told you who Luka was before the series started. I told you. I mean, he makes the game of basketball look easy. So when you start comparing great basketball players to great basketball players, man, that's what a great basketball player looks like. No matter what, you think the Minnesota Timberwolves aren't trying to stop him? You think the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't game plan for him? They game plan for him. I mean, he's the number one person on their scouting report. I guarantee you, but they can't do anything with him. See, that is a great player. That is a dog of a player. When you put together defensive game plans, and great players go through it like Swiss cheese. Like, there is no trouble. So when you start comparing the greatness, that should be one of the criteria. Like, you can't stop him, no matter what. And that's what Luke is doing right now. That's what makes him great. That's what makes him one of the best players in the world. And I told you that before the series started. Unfortunately, the Minnesota Timberwolves lose game 3, 116-107. Hopefully, they've got a little bit of fight left in them. They can get this thing back home to play one last home game at the Target Center, possibly in front of their fans. So we'll be rooting for them in game 4. Looking forward to it. This has been Unconventional Playbook. Hit that like and subscribe button. Timberwolves Nation, stay steadfast. You never know. There hasn't been too many teams that can come back down from 3-0, but you never know. A few years ago, 2016, I never thought LeBron James would bring Cleveland back against the mighty, mighty Golden State Warriors down 3-1. And the Cleveland Cavaliers got that done. So hopefully, you never know. You got to take this game one game at a time. As Anthony Edwards said in his post-game conference, press conference. So you just never know. This has been Unconventional Playbook. I'll see you when I see you.